Hey everybody, it's Dan with Pain Free You. Today, it's a crisp 20-degree morning. It was 16 when I woke up, and the sun's coming out, and it's not windy, so it's not too bad. Today's topic, emotional discovery. And as many people in the TMS community like to say, is do the work, right, in quotes. I don't like the term work. I think of it as a discovery, as an adventure, as being human. This is not work. This is not digging. This is not hard. This is more allowing. Allow yourself to feel those things that you've been resisting and running away from for a lot of years. Emotional discovery. I've done a video called TMS Processes Reviewed. There's, I don't know how many in that video, but at least 10 or 12 different ways of feeling your feelings. And what I really want to stress here is not the right way to do it, because there's not a right way to do it. Absolutely not. There's many ways to feel your feelings, and you just go to YouTube and say how to get in touch with your emotions. You're going to find, hundreds of videos. Like, there's a million ways of feeling your feelings. I don't believe there's one right way to do it to end your TMS or mind, body, or distraction pains or symptoms or numbness or weakness or whatever. I don't think there's a one right way. I think there's a couple of core concepts. Number one is knowledge. What the heck is going on? And this is where the emotional discovery comes into play. If you know what's going on, and you know that your symptoms are created from your mind as a result of your emotional world and the resistance to the emotional world, the repression, the unresolving of these emotions, meaning I just don't have time for that, I'm going to put it out of my head, or the outward bursts of anger, or clinging to emotions. There's all these ways that we do not resolve emotions. And so this emotional discovery, the primary goal of that is to, and as we know, Dr. Sarno said that the reason for the pain is to distract us from these emotions that we have repressed. And so, at its core, if the pain or the symptoms are there to divert our attention from the emotions that our brain has thought or learned are dangerous, scary, don't fit with our self-image, if that's what triggered the whole thing, wouldn't the straightest line be emotional discovery? Let me go see if I can allow myself to feel these emotions I've been pushing away and resisting and repressing. Once you do that, the pain can go away, and it often does. We don't have to overcomplicate this process by doing a million things. At its core, if it's caused by the brain to protect us from these repressed emotions, most typically anger and rage, right? Because in many cases, those are the emotions that our brain has decided are most unacceptable, don't fit with our own self-image, and are bad and make us an awful person. Again, if the pain or the symptoms are created to protect us from these repressed emotions, the fastest way to turn this switch off is to feel these emotions. Because what ends up happening is your brain will learn, oh wow, Dan just felt all this crazy, intense, emotional stuff, and he's still okay. Don't need to protect him anymore, right? So I know sometimes people will say, this emotional discovery is so challenging. It's so unpleasant. I felt sad today. Okay, welcome to being a human being. You're sad today. Big deal, right? Oh, it's going to turn into depression. Well, only if you stay stuck on the story mode of why you are sad and keep revisiting that over and over and over and over again. Look, this emotional discovery doesn't have to take more than 15, 20, 30 minutes a day just to really give yourself the gift of feeling what you're feeling. And we don't have to dig for this stuff. It's not buried so deep. And I know I'm going to get challenged by a couple of people, a couple I know fairly well, to say, well, if it's in the unconscious, how are we ever supposed to get it out? Well, look, I believe it takes practice. it takes creating and learning that feeling our emotions is safe. So I kind of feel it's like peeling the layers of an onion a little bit. You first start and you get some of the outer stuff, and when you first start doing this emotional discovery and feeling your emotions, you're probably going to start with the obvious ones. I'm pissed off, I'm sad, I'm despondent because I've got this pain. Got it. Check. All right. We know that. You're already consciously aware of it. Many of us are also very consciously aware of what's really bothering us. You know, some people will make the claim that, well, how am I supposed to know if I ever got to the repressed emotion that's caused all my symptoms and problems in the first place? I still have pain, so I must be missing something, right? I talked about that in I think I missed something, or I'm missing something. I forget the name of the title of the video, but don't come to the conclusion that just because you have pain, you've missed something in the emotional discovery. Your brain is still protecting you. So not only is it the emotional discovery, but also knowing that you are completely safe. Emotions don't mean anything. The only meaning they have is the meaning that you get to assign to it. So if you think being sad means I'm a depressed person and my life sucks, that meaning you got to assign. Nobody else got to assign that. Somebody else's meaning for sadness might be, I just experienced something that made me sad. And that's normal, right? Emotions only mean what you define it to mean. Just like thoughts don't have any meaning. They only mean what we define them to mean. And generally, most thoughts don't mean much at all. We don't have to believe them. So emotional discovery. Why is it so damn important? Because it cuts right to the reason that the pain or the symptoms exist in the first place. To protect us from feeling and experiencing the negative repressed emotions, most often anger and rage, that the brain has decided are unacceptable. So again, the straightest line to turning off the symptoms is to embrace the emotional discovery process, dive in, welcome it, treat your emotions like visitors, sit with them. And what you're doing is teaching the brain that these emotions are actually safe. They are okay to feel. And again, I believe the emotional discovery is such a key component of getting better. And again, it doesn't matter if you do just a feeling process. What am I feeling now? I'm feeling angry. Or if you do the journaling processes, or if you do any of the number of programs or processes out there, expressive writing, all sorts of stuff. But the key is to get to and allow yourself to feel those emotions that are already right there. They're not buried so deep. And for anybody who's going to argue that the repressed emotions are outside of our awareness and cannot be accessed, I think it probably goes in layers. Yeah, you may be right that there's a certain amount of things that are in our unconscious that we will never be able to access. But I don't believe it's that buried so deep that is required in order to get better. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all these people getting better simply from doing an emotional discovery. Don't create barriers to this process that say it won't work because, and try to intellectualize yourself through this chronic pain world. Don't intellectualize yourself and hyper-analyze the fact that, well, let me get lost in the theory and I'm going to dissect this chapter of Sarno's book and compare it to that chapter of Steve Ozanich's book and look for all the reasons that this is not going to work, because there's no way we can get to every single unconscious emotion we've ever experienced. You know, don't create these barriers where they don't exist. Take it at face value. Knowledge, TMS, and the mind-body symptoms are created to distract you from your emotional world, right? The emotions you've been resisting, pushing away, and in some cases automatically repressing, and it's to divert you to something physical like pain. So when you realize that at the core that's what it is, the answer is emotional discovery. Do the emotional discovery, feel your darn feelings. They're not dangerous. They may feel scary, they may not be pleasant, I'll give you that much. But so what? So you're sad, so you're angry, whatever. You don't have to act on those emotions, just like we don't have to act on our thoughts. So do the emotional discovery, folks. If you're resisting that because you think it's unpleasant or have decided up front that this isn't going to work, it's too simple, set aside that skepticism and dive in. Do the emotional discovery. Do it daily. You may surprise yourself and find out that, wow, I'm feeling pretty darn good. Holy cow, that's really cool. Right? And that'll build your confidence. So do the emotional discovery. And for anybody who's been feeling well for a while and the pains come back, check in with yourself. Are you going back to your old ways of repressing emotions and avoiding them and resisting them? Because I've already done that work. I'm pain-free, so I don't ever have to do that crap again. Right? So emotional discovery, it's really important. I will say that the mindset stuff, like not worrying about your darn symptoms, is really key as well. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with your body. It's just created in the brain to distract you from these darn emotions. So when you take the knowledge of what's going on, the belief that that's what's causing your symptoms, combine that with the emotional discovery, just commit to it, do it every day. You will be very pleasantly surprised when your pain starts to let go. And combine that with the mindset stuff that I'm teaching, which is basically don't care if you hurt or not, because you know it's TMS, you know you've got it, and that the emotional discovery is the way out. The mindset really kind of brings it all home, where when you really don't care about it and you don't focus on your symptoms all day long, the brain learns this is not important and begins to let it go. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Emotional discovery, it's really important. If you're avoiding it and just think that reading books about TMS and watching my videos is enough, it's not. You got to feel your emotions, feel your feels. So with that, gang, love you all. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.